Welcome back to the Max Reality, and Happy New Year! If you've seen my face before, then you know the drill, but if you're new here, I love talking all things reality TV, and now that 2024 has finally come to a close, I thought it would be fun to do what I did this time last year, which is rank all of the shows I was watching during 2024. So let's set the framework and the expectations. How I make this list is the same way I did last year, even though last year I promised myself I was going to do better about tracking the shows. I did not do that. New Year's resolution wasted. So I did the same thing I did last year, which is just sit at my desk and just try to think of all the shows I watched. I went through some of my YouTube videos, and I have compiled this list of the shows that I watched. No, it is not a comprehensive list of every single show I watched, but still I was able to get to 50 shows, which last year was only 33, so we're gonna have to speed run some of these. I am using the same tier system I did last year because I think I came up with a good tier system, I'm not gonna lie, so no notes, not changing it, which leads us to our first top tier category, which is perfect no notes. Below that, we have solid, but room for improvement. In the middle, we have great to watch while you're doing something else. Below that is and the very bottom tier is cancel it immediately. Last year, I went through the shows by what month they came out. I didn't really love that structure, so I rethought it this year, and I kind of have a big structure and then a mini structure within that. I love a list. I love structure. The main structure is going to be, first, we're going to talk about brand new shows that aired for the first time in 2024. Then we're going to be going on to shows that have 2 seasons or more. So a show that got its 2nd season this year, or well beyond, as we'll see with some of the shows. And the last category is shows that were new to me this year. Shows that I found that are actually older, but this year was my first time watching them. And then you might be wondering, what's the mini subcategory? Well, in the shows that have 2 seasons or more, I found out there were so many of them that they could kind of fit into their own categories, and we'll get into those categories after we get into the shows with 2 or more seasons. But it's things like Bravo, Netflix. So you see the structure kind of going in. And now that we all have a good idea of what's going on, it's time to start ranking these bad boys. First up is brand new shows in 2024. Our first show from 2024 that we are going to rank is Couple to Thruple on Peacock. This was a show that took couples who were interested in maybe opening up their relationship to a third person and let them test out this scenario. And I absolutely loved this show. I would not stop talking about it. I'm kind of surprised I didn't make a video about it. Don't really know why that happened, because this was a perfect no-note show. I really hope we're going to get a season 2. I don't feel like I've seen anything about it. It was pretty early in the year last year, it seemed like, so maybe we'll get an announcement at some point, but I don't care what anybody else has to say. I had a great time watching this, and we're starting off strong with it being in perfect no notes. Next up in shows from 2024 to rank, we have Secret Lives of Mormon Wives. I remember when this first started getting advertised, people were hype about it, and I truly had no idea what was going on. I had never heard of Mom Talk, but I was interested. I'm a very big Real Housewives consumer. I love this sort of style of documentary type reality TV show where you're just following around people's lives. And I went into it with no expectations, and I think that was the best way to go into it because it's going in perfect no notes. I could not physically remove myself from the screen while watching it. After I finished it all, I was so upset in a way I hadn't felt in so long. I wanted to know so much more. I am not super confident season 2 is also going to end up in perfect no notes, but for a season 1 of a show like this, chef's kiss. It was fantastic television. Peacock was having a lot of fun this year coming out with new shows because we have another one from them, which is The Anonymous. This one was unusual because my partner actually is the one who saw an ad for it and told me about it, which almost never happens. And the minute he described it to me as like a social media type strategy game, I was immediately ready to watch it. And it was good. It was good. I've been wanting to make like a full-length video talking about this, and maybe I will, because I had a lot of hopes and feelings about it that didn't end up really coming to fruition in the actual production and how the show was executed. But the person I wanted to win won. So mixed feelings altogether. I'm going to try my best to condensely and quickly explain this show to you, even though that's not really my jam. That's why I'm on YouTube, so I can just yap. But pretty much there was a group of people, they had a money pot where they would play games sometimes and add money to the pot. One of the big components, though, was that they would go into these bunkers and chat anonymously to each other. They each had like a little emoji that represented them. They would be in the chat, and then they would all have to vote for who they thought each emoji actually was. And the person who had the least amount of people be able to figure out who they were got labeled the anonymous that night. And the person who's the anonymous kicked somebody off every night until finally we got down to the last couple people where they played this kind of like lying game. It's hard to explain. They played it a lot in the show. And the winner of that game won the prize pot. It was honestly a little too convoluted at times. That's part of why I think I haven't made a video, because I feel like describing it is so, oh, but then there's this, and then there's this. And because of all of that, I really wanted the anonymous to be a lot better than it is. But at the end of it, I ended up just kind of barely watching it, and I would just kind of watch the last couple episodes because I wanted to know who won. And for that reason, it has to go in the middle tier of great to watch while doing something else. There are improvements they could make to bump that up. It is just season 1, but it didn't flow quite right. So sad to say, but great to watch while doing something else. Then we have Vanderpump Villa for ranking. This show focused on Lisa Vanderpump opening up a new little chateau that people could come rent out and have experiences at, and we followed the staff. I've never seen Vanderpump Rules, but ostensibly they're kind of similar, where you're more focused on the staff than anything else going on. Like, we got to see the elaborate parties they were throwing. My best way I found to describe it to people is honestly like a solitary Below Deck. Like, instead of them being on a boat and going places, they're in this little chateau. So it's like if Below Deck was docked the whole time, sorta. And I really, really liked it. I expected to like it because of the kind of show it is, and because even though I haven't seen Vanderpump Rules, I do know Lisa Vanderpump from watching Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, so I had a feeling I would really enjoy it. However, it does not make it all the way up to perfect no notes. It is landing in solid but room for improvement, because while I did like it a whole bunch and would immediately watch a season 2, there were just certain aspects of like the flow and structure of the show that I felt like needed a little help. And I also found myself wondering things a lot that I feel like they were just hoping people might know from watching Vanderpump Rules about how Lisa likes to run things, that if you didn't watch that and you don't know that, you're just sitting there like, for example, as somebody who's a big Below Deck watcher, the staff would be partying with the guests coming in, which is a huge no-no on Below Deck. And sometimes I would think Lisa was upset about it, and then she would encourage it. And that also just might be her vibe, but I felt like there might need some more, like, explanation and structure. And that might just be a me thing, but because of that, it needs some improvement, in my personal opinion. It's close, though. Next for ranking, we have a show that I just recently talked about, The Later Daters from Netflix. This is one I recently made a video on because I just recently watched it as well, and I did really, really liked it. Honestly, I would go as far to say I loved the show. It just made me feel so warm and fuzzy, and we had just watched Golden Bachelor, and I was missing that, so it really filled something in for me. However, that does not make it a perfect show. While I did like it a bunch, there were multiple things that I think could ultimately make the show a lot better. So for that reason, it is going in solid, but room for improvement. There were things I mentioned in my video, like maybe having more than just the one dating coach, also getting a couple different kinds of older singles. I just feel like there's room. There's room to explore a little more and maybe zhuzh it up. Then we have 24 and 24, Last Chef Standing, and this was a cooking show where they literally cooked for 24 hours straight. It was very fun. It was very different. But it's just going in great to watch while doing something else. Part of this might be because I chose to just binge it all over a couple days, but it got a little like, okay, I get it. They're up for 24 hours, but especially in the middle of it, I was just kind of like, I don't know. It did get funnier again toward the end because everybody was so tired, but overall, it was a fine show. Would I watch it if a season 2 came out? Yes. Would I be chomping at the bit to watch season 2? No. I'd probably do the same thing again. Wait for it all to come out, binge it over a weekend. 2024 also gave us the gem of Deal or No Deal Island, another one of my super long videos from this year. Vanderpump Villa and this were both like an hour long. And it's also going in the same spot as Vanderpump Villa. Solid, but room for improvement. I really liked Deal or No Deal Island. I thought it was really good. I'm really excited there's a season 2. But there were multiple things that were just kind of like, and it might just be like first season issues. We'll see if season 2 flows a little better. But I think one of my biggest gripes was the marketing for Deal or No Deal Island. Kept talking about the amount of money they could win, being like, I don't even remember what it was at this current moment, like $20 million or something just astronomically crazy like that. And while they were right, they were talking from a place of truth. Like, if they won every single challenge and put all the money in the pot and they did everything right all the time, 100% of the time, yes, the pot possibly could have had them win that much. But, like, it is never gonna happen. And then for the winner to just win, I mean, it was over $1 million, but still not even like a double-digit million number. It just felt like kind of a, after all that marketing build-up, especially like 2/3 of the way through when you could tell that number was just never ever realistic or feasible. It just kind of put a damper on things. And for that and just some other logistical things while watching the show, it's ending up in solid but room for improvement. We'll see if it goes up after season 2, if it gets into that perfect no notes. I don't think it will, but I'm open to it. Next to rank, we have Love Never Lies South Africa. This came on Netflix this year, toward the end of this year, and truly one of the most wild shows I've ever watched. And while Love Never Lies South Africa was a brand new show this year, technically Love Never Lies has been around for a little bit. They've done like a Spanish version, and then they did a Polish version, which I also watched that. But for now, we're just going to rank the South African one just for ease of everything. And it was 100%, like without even thinking about it, a perfect no notes. Okay, I could not find the picture there for a minute, but there it is. Perfect no notes. Truly, whoever made that show, though, something is wrong with them and they need to be studied. But that doesn't mean that it's not great TV. Yes, it's crazy mean. I just don't know what somebody was like doing in their head when they came up with this show, but it's excellent television. I was glued to my seat. Fantastic. It was so good that I immediately went to go watch the Polish version, which I will save for the ending of old shows I found this year. Just to be fair to the structure we have created, and by we, I mean me. Next up, 2024 gave us TLC's Forbidden Love. It followed different couples from different religions trying to navigate that. And while I had fun watching it, and I even took the time to make a video on it, I just would give it an eh. Like, I'm struggling thinking about it now, like, that's the sound I keep making when I'm thinking about what I want to say about it. So that's the category it has to end up in. Just, it was fine. I watched it. It filled some time for me. It entertained me some. It made me giggle. But have I thought about it much since I watched it? No. Not barely once. And last in the new shows from 2024 category, we have The Trust from Netflix. The Trust fits into the same category of shows as like The Anonymous, The Mole, Traitors, kind of that sort of situation. I didn't put The Traitors on this list. I don't know how I forgot that. Total side segment, but I'm leaving it in here because now we have 51 shows, which means we definitely need to be going. Back to The Trust, though. Like those shows, there's a communal pot that you are working toward. Their kind of big twist was nobody had to be eliminated each week. Technically, everybody could choose not to vote, and in the end, all 11 of them could have just split the money from the communal pot equally. Of course, there's social dynamics, things happen, people don't want to split that amount of money with 11 other strangers, so it's a good time. I had a really good time watching it. I would put it in... Oh, I'm struggling with this one. I think I'm gonna put it in, oh, great to watch while doing something else. Oh, I don't know. This one's kind of hard for me. A lot of them are hard for me. It's hard for me to rank these. I'd like to put them all in great because I had a good time watching pretty much all of these. Last year I had some in here that I really hated, but this year I didn't have a lot of TV I hated, which was very surprising. But because of that, I am trying to lower some of these rankings. I would usually rank a little higher to space some of them out. And I think because of that, with the caliber of shows it's having to go against, it's going to have to go in the great to watch while doing something else. It was really fun and it had a lot of interesting dynamics, but it was just kind of another one of these games of trust shows, and it was fine. It wasn't groundbreaking, it wasn't spectacular, I wasn't about to cry when it ended wanting another season. It was fine. It was fine. It was good. It's not a bad place to be in the middle. It's not. And that is the end of the new shows for 2024 section, and it is now time to move into shows that have had 2 seasons or more, and now we're starting with our first subcategory within that, which is the Bachelor Franchise. This year we got 3 shows from The Bachelor. The first one we're going to talk about is Joey Grazia's season of The Bachelor. It was a good time. We were coming high, riding high off of Charity season. We had the Golden Bachelor, which was really good, and I was happy with it. I'm going to give it solid, but room for improvement. I was happy with it. I wasn't as happy as I was with Charity season, but Charity season really just it really reinvigorated my love for Bachelor, so it's hard when you put it up to that, but I kind of have to since he came from Charity season. He had to live up to the hype, and he almost did, but we're going to put it in room for improvement. We did also have the Daisy and Kelsey having their moment together at the end, which was really great, but I still think it needs some improvement. It needs some improvement, I'm sorry. Then there was Jen's season of The Bachelorette. And I'm going to start this out with I love Jen. We need to protect Jen at all costs. When I heard she was going to be the Bachelorette, I was so happy. And then the Bachelor producers and editors gave us the season that we saw of Jen's season. And I was so mad, like so many other people, that I was ready to cancel it again. They had just come back for us with Charity and all that, and they ruined it. And so while I love Jen, and this is nothing about Jen, this is to the Bachelor producers themselves. It is going to cancel it immediately because so many issues, so many things. I made 2 different videos about that season of The Bachelorette, and it's going to cancel it immediately for all of those different reasons. And last, The Bachelor gave us Joan's Golden Bachelorette season, and I do love the Golden seasons just because it is so nice to see the older people finding love again and all that. But I won't say it was anything spectacular, and maybe part of it was just a bad taste left in everybody's mouth after Jen's season because they did air back to back. But overall, I wasn't super engaged with the season. I thought it was fine. I thought it was fun. But for all those different reasons, it's going into great to watch while doing something else. It was fun. It was fine. I will be excited for another Golden season, but I wasn't at the edge of my seat. I was actually kind of happy when the season ended. I was done with it by the time it was over. So it was fun. It was fine. But we're moving on. Our next subcategory is Gordon Ramsay, because I watch so many of his shows that he gets his own little subcategory. And we'll start with MasterChef Season 14, which was Generations. This took the normal MasterChef format and put them into teams similar to last year, where it was teams of regions, like South and all of that. This year, they did generations. So it was Gen Z, Millennials, Gen X, and Boomers, all against each other. And literally, by the time I was already only a couple episodes in, if I had heard one more, cheeky reference about, oh, you're a baby, you don't know anything, or, oh, you're so old, you can't, I was so sick of it. I was so tired of it. I hate them doing these little team things. I honestly think the team things could work, but I don't think they've figured it out, I guess. Or maybe it just doesn't work for this and I'm just delusional, and they are too, because they keep giving it to us. But along with the fact that all three of the judges, Gordon, Aaron, and Joe, I feel like have gotten so soft lately. It feels like their judging is just like, it's like, why are we even judging? Just give everyone a prize, let everybody do good. And because of that, we're honestly putting MasterChef Generations and cancel it immediately. I need them to rework the show, revamp it. It's gotten so bad lately, it almost makes it unwatchable, but I will just continue to watch it because I love Gordon. So, following that is MasterChef Junior Season 9. Something really bad would have to happen on MasterChef Junior for it not to go in perfect no notes. I love MasterChef Junior. It's one of my all-time favorite Gordon shows. It's so heartwarming. It's so fun. It's so amazing to see what these kids can do in the kitchen. And this season, they added Tilly as a judge, Gordon's daughter, which I was a huge fan of. I love watching Tilly and Gordon together. So, perfect, no notes, give us more of it. Next up, we have Hell's Kitchen Season 23, Head Chefs Only. I didn't say this in the beginning, but I'll just say it now. Some of the shows that I put in these lists aren't finished yet. This is the first one we're coming upon that is in the middle of the season, but I always decide if they're at least like 5 or so episodes in, I just put it in this year's roundup to make life easier, especially because at this point last year, I mentioned last season's Hell's Kitchen, so it's like I gotta do that. It's kind of, if that makes sense. Anyway, with that, we're about 10-ish episodes in, I think. We're probably like 2/3 of the way done with the season or so. And honestly, with them being all head chefs, I was expecting a lot from this season. I was expecting it to be really good, really competitive, and honestly, it just hasn't been there. It hasn't been there. It's still great because it's Hell's Kitchen, but talent-wise, I just personally was expecting a lot more. And because of that disappointment, it's going in great to watch while doing something else because it's better than last season where they were trying to do the Generations thing that they then decided, that went well, so let's put it on MasterChef. Hint, it didn't do well on Hell's Kitchen either. I just had a lot of faith and optimism and hope that things would be better because that last season was so bad. And while it is better, it's not where I want it to be. So, great to watch while doing something else. And last in the Gordon Ramsay section, we have Food Stars Season 2. This show is one of 2 this year that I was like, cancel it, hate it, terrible, get rid of it. And they had their Season 2 and completely proved me wrong. This is one of those 2 shows. Food Stars Season 2 was night and day. Just almost a completely different show, and thank God, because Season 1 was just not very good at all, but Season 2, breath of fresh air. Adding Lisa Vanderpump and making the 2 teams, I think did a lot for the structure of the show, and I overall just had a lot more fun watching it. And because of that, it's not quite perfect no notes yet, but it is solid but room for improvement, which is great considering I'm almost positive if it wasn't in Cancel It Immediately, it was at least an but I think it was in Cancel It Immediately. So that's a beautiful jump to see. Good job, Gordon. Got some points. Our next subcategory is Netflix, because Netflix is just churning them out, especially with giving us shows that sometimes have 2 seasons a year. So first up, we have The Circle Season 6 from earlier this year. I thought it was good. I've talked about this a little before with The Circle. I feel like it's getting kind of stale, for lack of a better word. They tried with this Season 6 to add the weird little AI guy, which I really didn't like as something for a revamp. I just thought it was weird. Felt like it kind of, not defeated the purpose, I guess, because it is supposed to be a social media experiment. Whatever. But I don't know. This season really just didn't do it for me. I really liked a lot of the individual cast members and still follow multiple of them on social media. But the show itself, Season 6, was just, I don't know, it just didn't do it for me the way some of the other seasons have. So, with that, I guess I didn't say it. I just threw it in there and hoped. With that, it's going in. Moving right along to The Circle Season 7. Don't get me wrong, I love that Netflix will give us 2 seasons in 1 year. It's just always so funny when I'm compiling these lists for myself, because I'm like, what do you mean I watched 2 seasons of The Circle in this 1 year of our Lord 2024? What? Anyway, this also could be a bias of I've seen this season sooner than I saw season 6, that I will 100% admit that, but I did think season 7 was a little better. Not a whole lot, though, and part of that truly might just be that they didn't have the weird AI guy. I felt like that really put a weird bump in the season, for lack of a better word, with season 6. With all that said, season 7 also had a great cast, multiple of which I continue to follow on social media, because, again, that is what The Circle does well, which makes it almost frustrating. They tend to cast really well. The cast is so fun to watch. The show just needs something. I don't even know what, which is not helpful, but I will give them a little bit of an edge over season 6, just because they were a fully human cast, and because of that, it's going in great to watch while doing something else. Breaking it up a little with the normal Netflix shows everybody talks about, with The Mole Season 2. Listen, everybody talks about Love is Blind. Everybody talks about The Ultimatum. Everybody talks about The Circle. Why does nobody talk about The Mole? Truly, I love The Mole. It is such a good show, and I really was concerned with season 2. I was like, I just don't think it's going to be as good as season 1. I don't think they can do it. And I was so wrong. I was glued to it every day. I made a video about it, so if you want to hear all my thoughts, you can go check it out. I'll try to link all the videos for the different shows I've talked about below somehow. I couldn't figure that out last year. Maybe I will this year. But I loved it. Every moment, I was like, no, that person's the mole. No, that one. And it was just, I was glued to my seat. I can't wait for season 3. Perfect, no notes. Then we have The Ultimatum Season 3, which is hot off the presses still, with a bunch of people talking about it. And, the ultimatum. The ultimatum. I just don't think they have been able to make a version of The Ultimatum as good as the Queer Love version. That season was so good, and everything after it has been a disappointment. And so, while The Ultimatum, the drama was juicy, there was interesting stuff, 2 of the couples went home. And I think overall it did make the show suffer, no matter how much fun drama there was to watch. Unfortunately, I'm putting it in eh. I feel like a lot of people would disagree with that, but if you just think of it like not just this season of The Ultimatum, which I try not to think about when I'm talking about these shows in like a fuller context, I try to also think about the seasons that have come before it. It just doesn't hit for me like it did season 1, or like it did with Queer Love. It's just, And it's getting on the point of just like, cancel it. Cancel the straight version if we can't fix it, and just do the Queer Love version, which we haven't gotten in forever, Netflix. Bring it back. Continuing on with Netflix, we have Love is Blind Season 6. This was the Charlotte season. And, I hate this for Netflix. Maybe the issue is Netflix is churning them out too much. Maybe we're learning that's the issue. Anyway, I don't know. Season 6 just really didn't do it for me. It was fine. It made me really angry a lot, which, like, is good for Netflix for, like, people making content about it and talking about it. But while I was angry while I was watching it, other than that, I've kind of forgotten about it. It was just kind of a forgettable season, which I feel like a lot of them have been lately. It's just kind of. It also felt like multiple of the people weren't really ready for what they were signing up for, didn't really understand. It just kind of felt like a flop. I wouldn't say it's so much of a flop that we gotta cancel it. Maybe we should, though. Screw it. I liked certain members of the cast, so no hate to y'all, but because of just everything with Love is Blind in general, and it being season 6, and it just being like, and the biggest memorable thing I feel like people still talk about is Chelsea calling herself Megan Fox. Why is that the most memorable thing? I don't know. We'll just go and cancel it. Because I don't think at this point I'd be even hurt if Love is Blind got canceled. I'd be like, I think we could have fixed it. But, Then we have Love is Blind Season 7. Once again, I will admit, this might just be a bias of we just recently saw Love is Blind season 7. It didn't end all that long ago, but it did feel a little better than season 6. I don't even really have tangible reasonings for why. I felt a little more invested in everybody, though, in a general sense, than I did in season 6. So we'll move season 7 up to like, I don't know, Love is Blind just really hasn't been doing it. I still watch it. I still get really excited when I hear it's coming out. And then I start watching it and I'm like, what are we doing here, y'all? Like, what are we doing? Fix it. I don't know how, but please. I think we're gonna give it the bump also because some of the drama was a lot juicier with season 7. I felt like I was digging and diving all the time, trying to learn about these people. I felt super invested in everything, whereas I didn't feel that way in season 6. Mostly I just felt angry at people and then happy about the one couple we got who I love them. People said they were boring. I'm going back and forth, but Amy and what's his name? Sorry to that man from season 6. Loved them, loved watching them. There's nothing wrong with having a happy, normal couple on Love is Blind. That is not why I'm putting it low. That is not the reasoning. It just wasn't there. It just wasn't there. I'm not going to keep trying to justify it. Those are the rankings. This is my opinion and decisions. That's final judgment. And last for our subcategory of Netflix, we have Perfect Match Season 2. And I feel like I'm hating so much on Netflix, but I watch so many of their reality shows. Because like I said in the beginning, this isn't necessarily every show I watched. I tried my best to pare it down. We obviously still ended up with 51 shows, but still. But Perfect Match Season 2, I'm sorry, it's going and cancel it immediately. That's it, it's going and cancel it immediately. I don't know, I want Perfect Match to work because I love the idea of bringing different people from the Netflix universe to all date each other, but for some reason it just like hasn't been working. And I don't know why. I feel like Perfect Match Season 1 was almost better when we had a little bit of like queer involvement in it. I always say this, but it just makes the dynamics more interesting when it's not all just a bunch of straight people. And this year with Perfect Match, we got people really early on just like sticking together that probably shouldn't have. If you know, you know. I don't know. Overall, they either need to just completely redo it or they need to cancel it at this point. I just don't feel like anybody cared about the Perfect Match this year. If you cared about it deeply, please let me know below because almost every person I talked to either just didn't watch season 2, didn't know a season 2 was happening, or watched it and then was like, oh yeah, I did watch that. So, sorry Netflix. Moving away from the world of Netflix to the world of Bravo as our next subcategory. First up, we're going to talk about season 9 of Real Housewives of Potomac. It's been fun to watch this year. It's been interesting to see like Giselle with her kids leaving. Also not having Robin has been a very solid improvement to the show. And I do think it is better than it was last year even. With all of that, I think, this one's hard for me. I think I'm going to put it in solid but room for improvement. Because personally, I do think Potomac is one of my favorite of all the franchises of Real Housewives that I personally watch. I don't watch all of them, admittedly, but I do really like Potomac. I like the dynamic. I like the length of time we've had a lot of these ladies on. And while I do think it needs some tweaking, I'm giving them some points for the tweaking they have been doing, like getting rid of Robin. So we're going to put it in solid but room for improvement for now. Then we have Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, season 14. And same goes for it. I was kind of getting on the verge. Actually, both Potomac and Beverly Hills were ranked last year. But I feel like this season of Beverly Hills has already been a lot better than seasons past. I like the addition of our new, like, boss lady, Bose, I think is her name. And then whoever, I'm so bad with names, y'all. Sutton. Whoever Sutton's... Tilly, I think is her name. Whoever Sutton's friend is. I've loved seeing her. I feel like this season has been a lot more fun. I've also loved seeing Dorit come, like, back to life and be activated. I love activated Dorit. So with that, I'm going to put it in the same spot as Potomac. I feel like they both have earned moving up to solid but room for improvement from Congratulations to both of them. See? See, there is possibility that you can move around in the chart. This 1 year has proven it. Next, we have Real Housewives of Salt Lake City Season 5. Real Housewives of Salt Lake City Season 4 did not make it on the ranking last year because I did not watch it. I was a really big fan of Salt Lake when it first came out, and then, I don't know, I just fell off, and I didn't watch Season 4. And then I started seeing ads for Season 5, and I thought, whatever, YOLO, I'll just start Season 5. I don't need to see Season 4. They'll flash back to it and help me figure it out as I've needed. And it's been fine. I'm glad I started rewatching it again. I like that they put Mary back on because Mary is just super different. A hoot and a half. Very fun to watch in general, except for like the very real stuff they've gotten into with Mary. That's not fun and kooky. But from going from literally not watching the season at all to like it being pretty good, it's going to go in the great to watch while doing something else, because that is why I started watching. I needed something to put in the background. I had seen the ads for Season 5. I said, nah, it's fine. And it has been. Middle of the road. Better than not being on the chart at all. Next in the subcategory of Bravo, we have Married to Medicine Season 11. Unfortunately, this is one that is not leaving its rank from last year, which is great to watch while doing something else. While I think Married to Medicine a couple seasons ago had a terrible dip down of just being unwatchable, and they have been slowly clawing their way back to being a good show, it's still just kind of great to watch while doing something else. Maybe if they really take some time to shake that cast apart, it will be better. I'm not saying I want to lose anybody, because I do like the length of friendships, but I don't know. Married to Medicine needs something. This is similar to what I've been saying here. It needs something. It needs a shakeup. Something needs to happen, because right now, the dynamics going on are just, they're fine. It's whatever. That's why it's middle of the road. It's fine. Then we are getting into the Below Deck franchise on Bravo, and the three I watch are the main Below Deck, just original Below Deck, Mediterranean, and Sailing. And I'm kind of struggling with where to put these different three. I think at the end of the day, a lot of it comes down to captain preference when it comes to Below Deck. I feel like, honestly, they could all go in great to watch while doing something else. But I am going to split this up, and I'm splitting it up just off my captain preference. I'm going to be 100% honest with you. So, we're going to put Below Deck Mediterranean in solid but room for improvement. I love Captain Sandy. I'm super biased. I know there are strong opinions both ways about her, but I love her. I also loved having Aisha as Chief Stew, and them together was just, oh, it was so fun to watch. So they're going there. Then we have Sailing, which is currently running, and Captain Glenn is also one of my all-time favorite captains, but just a little below Sandy. So that season is going to have to go in great to watch while doing something else. It is also lower than Mediterranean because I'm kind of tired of the whole Daisy Gary thing. I'm kind of tired of it, not going to lie. I didn't think I would be, but I am. So there's that. And last, we have regular Below Deck, which, just because of how I've decided to split these three shows up, is going in eh. I love Below Deck. It's fine. But honestly, all three of the seasons have just been kind of fine. But I did want to split them up, like I said. But normal Below Deck was just kind of especially this season. It was also our first season not having Captain Lee, so that was also a weird dynamic to have. I do love Fraser, though. He's really fun as a Chief Stew. And I do love Captain Carey as a new captain, but he needs to prove himself some more before I'm going to rank him above Sandy and Glenn. But again, I probably would just put all these in the middle, but I want to break them up. So it's my tier list. I do what I want. And with that, we leave Bravo to enter the 90-day universe. All the 90-day shows I watched this year. This year, I got really back into 90 Day Fiancé. I'd kind of taken a little bit of a break from it last year. I watched some of it, but this year, I was honed in. So let's go through them. Let's kind of try to speed run them if we can. I love saying if we can, as if you have anything to do with this, and not that it's just me who loves to yap. Anyway, I've been sitting here debating where to put each of these versions of 90 Day for like the last couple minutes, And to speedrun some of these, I'm coupling some of them together. 90 Day Fiancé, just the OG plain version, Season 10, 90 Day Fiancé Happily Ever After, Season 8, and 90 Day Fiancé The Other Way, Season 6, are all going into great to watch while doing something else. They all had very good seasons, very fine seasons. It was fine. It was a fine day to be a 90 Day Fiancé fan. Nothing too crazy is sticking out to me about any of it. We're just putting it into great to watch while doing something else. The next grouping of them I'm putting together is 90 Day Fiancé Before the 90 Days, Season 7, 90 Day Fiancé Love in Paradise, Season 4, and 90 Day Fiancé The Single Life, Season 4. All of these are going into Literally, I've just been about all of these. 90 Day Before the 90 Days is airing right now. It's almost over. I'm pretty sure if that episode that just aired wasn't the finale, there's probably only 1 or 2 left, max. They've all just been I'm never super into Single Life anyway. I very much prefer 90 Day in its more pure form with like marriages. I want there to be some commitment. Just watching these people who are on 90 Day date around, I kind of feel that way about Before and Paradise too. There's just such lower stakes that it kind of makes the show overall. And then we have one lone 90 Day Fiancé show that is left, and that is 90 Day Fiancé Last Resort. This show was in Cancel It Immediately last year. However, this year, it has gotten better. I wanted to make it separate just so I could talk about all of that. It is better. Now, whether that is just because the casting is better, I really do think it actually might just be that. It just might be that the casting is better. Either way, I'm going to put it in solid but room for improvement. I honestly couldn't see the vision at all last year, and I purely think that the casting was just so bad, I couldn't see the vision. We aren't very many episodes in, so I could change my mind. This might be speaking way too early, but I think this could become a much better 90 Day Fiancé universe add-on, spin-off, whatever, than a lot of the other ones. I very much like it. Again, I like seeing couples we've already seen when they're coming back. So it is, again, going from Cancel It Immediately to solid but room for improvement. Lots of moving around the chart this year, which I love to see. And with that, we move on to our last subcategory, which is Other. These are shows that have 2 seasons or more now, but couldn't fit nice and neatly into any of the other categories I made. First up, we have Shark Tank Season 16, the one that is airing right now that I make recap videos on. Wink, wink, if you want to go check those out. Anyway, Season 16 is going to be Mark's last season. We also have added Daniel Lubensky into the regular shark category instead of just being a guest shark. So things have changed up. However, Shark Tank is staying exactly where it stayed last year. It is still in solid, but room for improvement. I don't really feel like anything has changed to make the show better or worse. It's still good. I obviously love Shark Tank. I talk about it all the time. But I do think there are still things they could do to make the show better that they haven't really tried to do and that I've talked about a lot. But it's fine because I'm obviously still watching. Next, we're talking about Claim to Fame Season 3. I love Claim to Fame. It's been one of my favorites since it came out, but this season really didn't do it for me. This season was just, It felt like everybody wasn't doing a great job at guessing or even like trying to come up with good guesses. It felt like everybody was lost the entire time, which unfortunately just made the season kind of Claim to Fame Season 3 was just kind of I have a lot of faith that next season will be better and it'll go back up in the rankings, but unfortunately Season 3 was just Then we have The Floor Season 2. When The Floor first came out, I made a video about how much I loved it. And I did for the first couple episodes of The Floor when I made that video. But it just started going downhill for me in a way that just was so disappointing. And it's mostly just because of how the game is structured. By the end of it, you're kind of watching it, and because of the way people are eliminated, it leaves it up to chance that somebody you've barely seen on the show is going to end up winning, which kind of deflates the ending of the show, or at least it does for me. And honestly, I don't know. I'm putting this in Cancel It. I would be fine if The Floor was canceled. I wouldn't be sad. I like The Floor. It's been fine to watch this season, but if I hadn't watched it either, it would have made no impact on my life. So unfortunately, cancel it immediately. I was sitting here like, where did The Floor end up last year in my ranking? And I went to look and I realized it wasn't in there. And I was like, why did it not end up in there? The Floor gave us 2 seasons in 1 year. I didn't even realize this should have been in the category of new shows this year, but I didn't even realize it. That was my bad, y'all. I'm leaving it down here because it's in cancel it anyway. I might try to fix it more if I really cared about it, but dang. To give us 2 seasons in 1 year and it just to be so disappointing, I don't know. That show needs help. Or just to cancel it. We're gonna move on now. Next up, in a show that I am sure has been around more than 2024, we have Crime Scene Kitchen Season 3. I love Crime Scene Kitchen. Part of me almost wants to put it, you know what? This is my tier. I don't care. Crime Scene Kitchen is going in perfect no notes. I really don't have any notes for it. It's fun. It's a fun time. I really like it. It's simple. Maybe there are some things I could change to improve it, but I don't know what any of them are, and I love watching it. So, perfect no notes. Next up, we have MILF Manor Season 2, and this is the second show that I was referencing earlier that I just immediately wanted it canceled, hated it, thought it could never come back, and it proved me completely wrong. Season 2, like Food Stars, they completely redid it. And it shows. It is a much better show than Season 1. Does it still make me cringe? And do I still kind of feel like maybe we don't need it on TV? Yeah. But we're putting it in solid but room for improvement. Because there still are some things that kind of need tweaking and fixing. But I'm just so impressed with how much they were able to fix it that I think it deserves to go that high up. Because I truly just... incredible what they saw Season 1 and said, yeah, maybe we should fix this. And they did. Good for them taking notes. Next is I Love a Mama's Boy, Season 4. Yes, there are 4 seasons of this TLC show, and it just gets worse and worse every year. And with that, I feel like you can assume that I'm just kidding. I'm going to put it in, cancel it immediately. It's just gotten so tired. It's gotten so old. It feels really fake at this point, too, with some of the people they put on it. It's just not really a good time anymore. So cancel it immediately. And last, in the category of other, the show I almost forgot to put on this list, for a reason I don't know how I could have forgotten, considering I am literally on the edge of my seat for the next Season 3 to air literally tomorrow. We have Season 2 of The Traitors, and perfect no notes. I don't even know what to say. I love The Traitors. It's just so... I loved them bringing Kate back for Season 2. I thought that was a super fun dynamic. Nothing else to say. A fun time to watch. Fantastic. Alan Cummings as just truly, a plethora of perfectness happens within The Traitors. And that concludes the category of shows that are 2 or more seasons in, leading us to the third and final category, which is old shows that I just now found this year. And to start us off, we are going back to a show from the beginning, which is Love Never Lies, but this is the Polish version. I didn't really even need to separate it, because Poland is also going in perfect no notes. Love Never Lies is wild, y'all. Like, truly, it deserved the space to talk about it twice, because truly incredible. Also, though, I wanted to talk about them a little bit separately, because the South African version, they mostly speak English. You just have sometimes where you're reading subtitles when they speak in a different language every now and then. In the Poland version, they are speaking their language, Polish, I assume, and we get the dubbed English version if you wish to watch it, and I just needed to take a second to talk about the dub actors for Love Never Lies Poland. Truly, they all deserve the world. Both seasons, the dub acting in this show was fantastic. When I started it, I was like, I don't know if I can watch a dubbed reality show. I just don't know how that's going to be. But it was great. Fantastic. no notes. This is also kind of going back, but this year I discovered 90 Day Fiancé UK. I had no idea there was a UK version until this year when I was telling you I got deep into watching 90 Day Fiancé. So I watched all the seasons of 90 Day Fiancé UK, and sorry UK, I'm gonna say cancel it immediately. Like, I don't know. 90 Day Fiancé is already on such thin ice, and then, I don't know, for some reason, doing it as the UK version, I don't know. Do they even is it even a 90-day, like, K1 visa process in England? Like, at this point, rename the show. I don't know. I'm mostly putting it in cancel it for that. I just kind of was like, I get it. I get the idea, but also, like, there's just so much 90 days, so sorry UK, I'm putting in cancel it. Next up, we have a show called Wall of Chefs. This is a Canadian cooking show that I just found recently. I am currently on season 2 of it. I already watched all of season 1, and this is a great to watch while doing something else show. Number 1, the structure of the show is literally exactly the same every single time. Like, down to the way they present each of the segments. It's literally exactly the same. So you can kind of get distracted doing something and pop back in and very easily be like, yes. It's also just very calming. They're very nice. They're very funny. It's a very good casual cooking show. Our next show is Restaurant Startup. I found this show because I was clicking around Hulu and I saw Joe from MasterChef's face on the little poster. And I had no idea he was on any other show, so I immediately had to check it out. It's Joe and this celebrity chef, Tim, and they get 2 different pitches from 2 different people who are wanting to start a restaurant. It's got that Shark Tank vibe of like, if you go with us, I want $300,000 for 30%. The guys pick between the 2 different pitches, give them some money and give them like a couple days or whatever to throw up a pop-up version of the restaurant, essentially, and then either Joe will invest, Tim will invest, maybe they'll invest together, or nobody will invest. It's a very fun mixing of, like, Shark Tank and food shows, and for that, it's getting a solid but room for improvement. I have really liked this show so far. I just started season 3, which is the final season, I'm pretty sure, of this show, and I've had a really good time. I'm actually going to be kind of sad when I run out of episodes, so solid but room for improvement. The biggest improvement being that they need to bring it back, but there are also things within the show that would probably make it better, but I really like it. Then we have the show You, Me, and My Ex, which ran from 2021 to 2023. I just found it this year. I made a video about it earlier this year. It is a wild time. Just a truly and deeply wild time. I don't think it's ever coming back, but I really wish it would. And because of that, I'm putting it 2 in solid, but room for improvement. Again, part of the improvement just being that they need to bring it back. But I could see how a show like this, maybe if they continue going, could get into that great to watch while doing something else kind of vibe, especially if they keep people repeatedly as they were trying to do with certain seasons. But I really liked it. I thought it was fun. I thought it was different. Solid but room for improvement for me. Then we have Holiday Baking Championship. I found this on Max. I think this season was their 4th season, but I just recently finished season 3 because I found it during the holiday time and I started binging it. And 100% oh, this one's kind of hard for me. You know what? It's the holiday season. I'm putting it in perfect no notes. I really like it. I like the way they do the different challenges. I love my favorite part that I keep talking about. I love the 3 judges. I love that they'll just all 3 disagree. They'll just all 3 have 3 totally different opinions about the same dessert. And I love that. It is refreshing to just have one be like, this is the driest cake I've ever had. And the other be like, no, it's not. It's perfect just the way it is. I love it. No notes. Then we have Pressure Cooker. This was a, obviously, cooking show from Netflix. It was actually just a show from 2023, but I missed it then. Just found it recently, like a couple months ago. And it was fine. It is kind of what started me on a binge runge of watching just a bunch of cooking shows. But at the end of the day, it was just kind of It was fine. I don't really think there was anything groundbreaking about it. One thing that was kind of different about it was they didn't have a host, which I thought was really interesting. And also, a lot of the tasting was done blind. I think pretty much, yeah, all the judging was done blind. And that was interesting, I guess. But overall, it was just kind of for me. It was kind of forgettable. Almost forgot to put it on this list. It just barely made it. And that was another reason it made it to And finally, we are on our very last show, which is Ramsay's Kitchen Nightmares, not to be confused with Kitchen Nightmares. Ramsay's Kitchen Nightmares is the original version from the UK. I just found it this year, and truly I'm so sad we finished all the episodes, because once again, this is a perfect no-notes show. I would do anything for them to be able to bring this back. I just physically don't think it's possible anymore, because it was just a different era of Gordon Ramsay's life. It was young Gordon Ramsay. He hadn't had like 12 TV shows under his belt. It was a different time, but it was a great time. It was so fun to watch. If you haven't gone and seen those the UK Ramsay's Kitchen Nightmares, 100% recommend. I want them to find a way to take Kitchen Nightmares closer back to this version. I don't think they have it in them. I think this is a lost time capsule that if you have not watched it yet, I am so jealous. I wish I could erase my brain and rewatch it, because I thought it was that good. And that is a wrap. Somehow I started this video off saying they were 50 shows we were going through, and we ended up with 53. One of them was because I forgot the traders. Some others were because I apparently didn't have the pictures downloaded into this tier maker thing. But either way, we have officially made it through the 53 shows that I could remember and think about and thought were worth putting in this tier list from 2024. Once again, I am very proud of myself for the spread I did. I feel like last year I had more shows that I hated that I watched. I also feel like last year I watched more new stuff than I did this year, but overall, I am pleased with this tier list. Also think I accomplished my goal of there were more shows this year, but I'm pretty sure this is either going to be equal length or shorter than last year's. So, go team. And for some reason that is unknown to me, my outro footage audio did not record, so I am here to tell you, if you made it this far in the video, thank you so much. It means a lot to me. If you liked the video, don't forget to like it down below. If you like reality TV, Shark Tank recaps, Shark Tank product reviews, any and all of that, subscribe to the channel. I'm trying to get 1,000 subscribers before my 3-year anniversary at the end of the year. So if you want, join the team. It's a good time over here. As always, I want to hear your thoughts, feelings, opinions, comments. Have you seen any of these shows? Do you think I put them in the right or wrong spots? What shows did I not mention that you wish I would have talked about or you think I should check out? Let me know all that and more down below. And until then, I'll see y'all in the next one.